There is a drop in revenue from advertising because of the outbreak of coronavirus. Some organizations are being compelled to reduce their staff strength because they are unable to fulfill their financial obligations. What is the way forward? Elsewhere, Stonebwoy appears on Billboard chart for the second time following the release of his album. My name is Benefo Buabin Abrantepa. Welcome to Bloggers Forum on Ghana Web TV. Joining me on the show on this episode, Arnold Asamoah Bedu. Arnold writes for entertainmentgh.com, one of the renowned writers, very opinionated. Arnold, welcome.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Albert Amekuji, he is a columnist and a background in advertising. He's with Origin 8. Albert, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Was he a big man?
A renowned columnist.
Was he a bro? We're talking about bro. He's the one who has been using big English in his write-ups.
This is your field. Me, I'm here to support.
I go to his website, read his opinionated articles, and sometimes I need to get some four dictionaries on the side. Macmillan, Longman.
I hear.
To wish I also get some.
No problem. I'm there for you.
Albert, let me start from you. Cutting down advertising in this crisis, is it a necessary evil?
Yes, to some extent it is a necessary evil, and to some extent, I mean, it's not necessary to cut down advertising budget. I mean, looking at the times we are in, obviously revenues are dropping, but there are organizations who have their revenues also going up, especially those in the essential services. I mean, so if you are in that area, I don't see the need for you to cut down your budget when you are making a lot of sales, because there's so much demand for your products or service. But if you are in a non-essential service area, I mean, that is where you need to now look at how you are going to streamline your budget to be able to give you the maximum impact that you need, even with a smaller budget. So yes, I mean, looking at the revenues of the organization, then you make a decision whether to cut it down or not. But it's also up to the marketers within the organization to be able to defend why their budget should not be reduced. Because any organization will first look at, the marketing budget to cut off. Because in our part of the world, a lot of organizations don't really value advertising. But they tell you, why should I advertise when my product is already doing well? But you have your brand to build, and your brand equity can even sell your company more than the product itself. And these are things that people do not see because it's intangible. So when you are selling your company, these are the things that you put in place to be able to ensure that you have value for money. And without communication, you can't achieve that. So in as much as companies are struggling, I think it is important we keep our advertising budget to ensure that we reach out to the right people at the right time.
Arnold, from where you sit, would you say cutting down the budget is a suicide mission?
We are not in normal times, and everybody is aware. At this particular moment, everybody is very much aware we are in crisis. And so it's very much understandable for every entity to either cut a budget or lay off its workers. If there's any firm now, the world over, including Ghana, which is not doing any of these two, cutting budget and laying off workers, it means that company or that firm is in a good place, or has been in a good place over the period, even before the crisis hit. And so you have companies like Amazon actually making revenue, profits, like Netflix. So it tells you that these companies are the hub, or the pivot of their operations is digital. Everybody else is feeling the pinch. So for me, I think it's necessary, especially if you really want to sustain the business. You need to do these two things: cut budgets and reduce costs, lay off workers and reduce costs to actually sustain the business until the crisis is over. That's how I say it.
I see. But in doing all this, we're also thinking of the staff, how they are going to fuel at the end of the day.
Yep.
How should the execution of this, because we know advertising firms are deeply affected.
Yeah.
Now the AAG is saying that 60% are being laid off and all. How do we execute this with a limited budget and then running your company? How do you do that?
Well, I mean, he is the expert. He should be able to tell us how these companies should be able to maneuver around this crisis. As far as I'm concerned, if you were personnel within any of these companies that have been affected and you are expendable, they will cut you off. So if you read the directive or the announcement from the AAG, what you talked about was the fact that they are maintaining the guys within the digital space. So clearly these guys are not expendable. And so if you find yourself in that position where you can easily be cut off, then bad luck. You understand? So for me, it's up to the executives of this company to actually realize which sector within the firm is very important or essential. The ones that they can do away with for now, because there's hope that we'll go through this crisis. Until that time, I think I agree with every decision to actually cut some personnel off, reduce budget to actually sustain the core business.
I see. Albert, you want to have a bite on that?
Yes. You see, when you're running an organization, you have your fixed cost. You see, this is a cost that whether you work on, you need to pay your rent, your electricity bills, and all that. Now, if you are working in a typical advertising agency, you have the opportunity to do virtual meetings with your clients. So the first question is, can you get your employees to work from home so that you reduce your electricity costs? Because if you are not in the office, assuming in this office, if all of you are not here, light will not be on. Obviously, that cost is saved, right? Your machines and your internet within the office space is also, saved. So you don't necessarily need to cut off advertising budgets if you are in a bigger firm, because you can look at the workers who can work from home and then the related costs and make a comparative analysis and see, okay, does this help us or not? Getting how effective will they be working from home and how effective will they be working from the office? Now you need to set the rules clear. If you are working from home, these are the things you need to do on time. And don't forget, there are people who are, because they are working from home, they're even working on weekends. But on a normal day, they will not work on weekends. So if as executive of your business, you need to now understand the mechanics of these costs within your organization. And then you look at, okay, where do you now reduce staff? Not necessarily, asking them to go home. Because don't forget, you have a contract with your employee. And fine, you can terminate the contract and then give him or her 1 month's salary, whether you like it or not. But you see, the way you communicate with the person will let the person understand your situation and even, okay, agree that, these are things that we don't need to discuss further, but let's all go this way. And it goes to help your organization. If you cut down your number of employees and the workload is too much on the current staff, will they be able to give you the quality you need? And will the timing be also good for your delivery?
But I
am pretty sure that before any of these guys, especially the AAG and its affiliates, came up with such a decision, they really sat in the boardroom. They went through, the intricacies and the rudiments and the repercussions that could come up with this decision. So I'm not sure it was a knee-jerk reaction. It was a thorough decision that was really analyzed before they said this. Let's lay off a couple of these workers. Let's cut these budgets. So you make it seem, apologies to you, make it seem as if, well, it was not a well thought out decision. And that's where I slightly disagree. I think these guys, these executives are smart enough to actually know if they do cut budgets, if they do lay off workers, either it will affect or it will help the business. And so I believe it's a calculated decision that was taken.
Some organizations have resorted to the use of social media to advertise and market their products. How sustainable do you think this is going to be?
As long as we are in this crisis, that's the only way to go. That's our solace now. You understand? And you see, previously, before we got into this crisis, these social media platforms and digital platforms were already in existence. It was just that it complemented the traditional space. So now that we do not have the traditional space anymore, you have no choice than to rely on the digital or spiritual space. So you need to be you get it. And so for me, I think it will also help, especially for those of whether individuals or companies who do not really rely on that digital space. Now their eyes have been opened now, quote unquote, to show them that, listen, there could be situations where you would not have to depend on that traditional space anymore. This is now the new route to go, digital space. So for me, I think it's in there. Just that now the emphasis has been more. The reliance on the digital space has shot up. That's the only difference. That's always been there.
Albert, can the sector use this period or crisis to ensure or establish public confidence whilst meeting the needs of consumers?
So yes, I believe this is a perfect opportunity for any brand to build a strong brand affinity. Yeah, because I mean, now you need to tailor your message to suit the times that we are in. So you only need, you need to be sure that, I mean, you are no more selling product or service, but you are selling brand. And this can be done in so many ways. So where you are not able to do advertising, you do PR a lot. And PR comes in to complement advertising. Where you do, and if you have a PR budget, it's like times, the advertising budget is like 3 times that.
Okay.
So you can save a lot in terms of advertising and then do PR now. This is where you communicate your brand, let people fall in love with your brand the more. So, and the social media or the digital platform has been there. Now we have over 40 million connections. And I mean, people spend more than 6 hours within the 24 hours we have online. So this is the time for organizations to tailor their message using PR approach to be able to reach their audience. And if you are not able to reach them now, your brand will die off. I mean, let me use this example. If you don't talk to your girlfriend often, obviously she will think that you are no more in love with, so she will leave you. It's the same way if organizations don't communicate with their target audience often, they will forget about them. And those who are in touch with them will remain relevant, and this is not a situation that will remain forever. Definitely, even the impact will reduce, life will get back to normal, and then businesses will now get back to normal. It may take time, but it will definitely happen. So when it happens, are you now going to start building your brand and then creating awareness again? Or when you are doing that within these times, you'll be able to have a competitive advantage when the crisis is over?
Right. So let's take a short break. When we return, we'll look at the impact of this whole thing in the media. Already, some media houses are laying off workers. Some have served indication that very soon they will follow suit. So how should it be done in order not to not to offend any employee? I don't know whether it's even feasible, I should say. Still now you maintain the relationship. How is it going to be done? So we will tackle that after the break. Welcome back to Bloggers Forum on Ghana Web TV. We are discussing the impact of coronavirus on advertising, which has also led to a drop in revenue for some companies, especially the media that gets, you know, I think that's the only source of revenue from the media space.
Well, predominantly that's where the chunk of their revenue comes from. However, they also for most of the media companies that do a lot of events, even with that, they still need to depend on advertisers. But then through revenue generation points from the advertisers directly and from their own internally generated events. But predominantly, most of the revenue do come from these advertisers and advertisers.
So we don't know of the others, but we know Caroline Sampson, who used to be with YFM. Her contract was terminated. Well, according to her, she received a call from her HR. She went, she was given a letter, She opens the letter. Well, before that there were conversations, and then her contract has been terminated. She says the organization says there is a fall in revenue, and even those who are coming, advertisers, they want 50% or so off. She was thinking there will be a pay cut, but her employer decides to terminate the appointment.
All right, so I do sympathize with the likes of Caroline, Ms. Na, Joel, Lins, and the rest of the guys who have been laid off at YFM. However, Albert did make a very good point when you talked about the fact that companies are assessing their expenditure by virtue of if you have your full load of staff. I mean, the expenditure of water, light bill would go up. Now, when you look at the YFM situation, and to a larger extent, some other media houses who are trying to lay off their workers, this is what I envisage. The likes of Caroline, they are radio presenters. They actually have DJs that play the songs for them. Most of them. So what they do is, the station and its listeners rely on their voice. But then when it comes to the play of music, it's all DJs. And so for me, I'm thinking YFM, the executives are thinking like, listen, because one of our major streams of revenue has been cut, how do we also reduce the expenditure and still let the business roll? You have a DJ. The DJ plays all the songs all the time. All you do is speak, your voice. Can I do without the voice and still play the music and still maintain a certain level of revenue or a certain level of audience? So when you do these assessments, they go with the easy route. I can do away with the voice, still play the music, and still maintain my audience and some level of advertising. You understand?
Yeah.
And so for me, I think it is not an easy decision. But then you look at the pros and the cons, and then you take a drastic measure. And for me, I think that's what they've done. Because at the end of the day, like I said in my earlier submission, what do you need to do to sustain the business? And for the YFM experience, they figure or reckon that laying off these guys, and mind you, these guys are top rated. I can tell you for a fact that they earn the biggest salaries at the YFM.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
It's actually something Caroline mentioned.
Yes,
yeah.
they are the top earners.
Top earners.
And so if the business is struggling and their core business is music and a little bit of speaking, I can do away with the speaking and still maintain the play of the music, maintain the DJ. Because if you realize, all the DJs are still on rotation. And maybe some of the DJs have been elevated to do the speaking. And so, drastic measure, but it's a well thought through decision, although our friends have been affected. But if you're a business, for an executive and you sit in that position, I'm sure you will do the same thing.
Albert, you are not in their shoes, but let me put you in their shoes. What would you do? A pay cut or a termination? And what would have formed the basis of your move?
It's always a difficult decision to terminate people's appointments.
Very.
I mean, and if you've not been sacked before, you will not feel it.
True.
I mean, so there are different, things you need to consider when you are going to terminate somebody's appointment. Okay. What value does a person bring on board?
Yes.
Okay. And you compare that to what you're also giving the person in terms of remuneration. If you believe that you can cut off this budget and then sustain the business with the people you have, I believe that any business person would do that. But if, assuming you cut off that person and then your revenue also drops drastically, then it's a bad decision. But obviously, I'm sure every business organization would want to consider all these variables, look at, the value they all bring on board, and then see, can someone step in? Can I get the same value and pay less? Or, I have to get the same value and pay more than what I'm already paying. Those are some of the decisions that would come in play when you are taking such a decision. And, nobody wants his or a business to collapse. Even if I need to use two, workers and still sustain the business, I will do it.
Yeah.
How do you go about it without? Yes, we know they will be hurt.
Yes.
But how can you do it to minimize the pain? I don't know if that's the right way to put it.
It's all about communication. I always say communication plays a key role in everything we do. If we don't communicate, we can't understand each other and know how we feel. So, I mean, everybody knows that we are not in normal times. And if the organization realizes that our revenue is dropping and there are things that we can do to reduce, costs, why not you engage the people you want to lay off? That we have this situation. This is what we are thinking. What do you also suggest? Maybe you might have taken your decision in the boardroom already, but you also need to give them the opportunity to share their thoughts, to know if maybe there's an alternative. Because nobody's happy sitting at home. Nobody is happy sacking somebody from work. You get? But when you engage them, they might share something that you feel, okay, could be helpful. Okay, I can work from home, reduce my salary by 80%, 20%. Let me get something small. Having something small is better than nothing. You get? And if they give you some of these suggestions and you feel that it is good for you to operate and still, maintain your revenue flow and your little profit margin, people would want to consider that. Then now you look at, okay, do we give you enough time to do other things to make up for the money that you are losing from us, or we still maintain the time you are working with us and still drop? We need it's a way of it's the negotiations that will help you arrive at a reasonable conclusion for everybody to be happy. But if the person is not ready to listen, the business is yours. You make the decisions. You just make sure that the legal part is covered. Okay. And then you're good to go. You cover the media part, the legal part. Is there a need to cover the psychological part? Yes, Charlie, lay off. I don't need to get you a psychologist or something like take you through. We know mental health and all of this. The burden, some of these people already may be going through one issue or the other, and then their contracts are terminated.
I think you've brought up a very good point, because losing a job is very torrid, extremely excruciating. And if you have somebody who is a breadwinner of a family, or somebody who a lot of even the external family depends on him or her, that's a problem. And so, apart from the communication, as Albert highlighted, it's very important. Before you even give that person the news, there should be some form of a talk. If as a business owner, you deem it fit not to engage your personnel in certain decision making, that's your problem. That's your decision. However, if you feel your personnel are that valuable to the extent that you want to sit them together on a round table and discuss as to how the business is struggling and the way forward, that's also fine. But regardless, there should be some form of communication with regards to how the decision is going to be. Then the point that you brought up with regards to psychologists, very, very important. Because if that person sits on a certain pedestal as the breadwinner, as the person that a lot of people depend on, it's crucial. And so, just like when you go for a medical test, and a certain doctor or a nurse has to come and sit you down, brief you, and psych your mindset as to how you receive the news, I think something like that should have been done as well. Because somebody is losing a job that virtually does everything for the person. And so it's crucial that even if you don't have a psychologist in the building or within that space, there should be some level of conversation to ease the pain, ease the disappointment, ease the anxiety, and all that stuff. So I do totally agree.
I see. Albert, there is I'm struggling for the right word to use. The communication has been different. Caroline is saying that her appointment was terminated because, according to the organization, they are unable to fulfill their financial obligations. The company is saying that it is untrue, and that people who have made publications to that effect are causing damage to the brand. The question is, how can a company maintain its public image in this time? How should they handle it? Do they have to come out and say, yes, we've laid off people because we are suffering, or they should find a way to cover it? I'm not saying that handlers of YFM, they are covering it, but in this case, managing the image of the company, how should it be handled?
You see, I think we need to understand how they both engage each other and in the relationship they have even before the termination came in. Okay, there are times where already there's some kind of internal conflict between the two parties. But for the organization to save its image and let people believe that, okay, they made the right decision. I mean, in these times, if you lay off workers, there will be pain, but people will understand you. You need to engage the person and let the person understand that, okay, we all need to speak with one voice. I mean, there's no doubt you are no more with us. But was it done the right way? If they all agree that, okay, let's come together and let the public know the truth. This is how it went about. Maybe fine, we didn't communicate with her earlier before we gave her the letter. Or maybe what she also said, there were, half truth or not. We don't know. But the two parties need to come together and then talk to, those who are listening to them and let them understand that, okay, the decision was taken in the right interest of, both parties. So that issue dies off. It's not about you saying this, me saying this. For the business must go on. But you also need to sustain or maintain your public image so that people don't feel that when I'm working with you and at a point you are not comfortable, you can sack me anytime. But people, you can work somewhere, they will sack you and then later they will call you. It's normal. It happens. You have a relationship with them. And that is what keeps everybody.
I know, PR.
See, these companies are quite in a dicey situation. One, they are laying off their workers. Two, they are not too sure how the public would perceive their standing. But this is where the problem lies. They forget the likes of YFM, Joy FM. Now we're using these two as examples because YFM sacked most of its presenters on block. YFM by day sacking Nashoko. What these guys fail to realize is that
Nashoko
Joy.
Yeah.
What these guys fail to realize is that they are also in the public domain. So they make it seem as if it's only the presenters who are in the public domain. And so the presenters are allowed to actually come out and give us exclusive as to what was pertaining in their sack letters or whatever contract existed between the two entities. The companies are always laid back. If you realize, for Naya's case, Now was always out there telling us that this was transpired. Yeah. Did you hear anything from Joy FM?
No.
The YFM situation. Almost all the presenters from Miss Naya to Caroline are out there telling us their tales. Have you heard anything from YFM?
No, not until that communication
because they had some bashing, a little bit of bashing, or there was some misconception about the brand, and so they had to come out. The issue is they leave everything out to the presenters or the employers, and which for me I think is wrong. Once you are in the public domain, you're a media entity and you're in the public domain, you should also be able to come out. So for example, we are sacking most of your A-list presenters. You should be able to give us a statement and give us a concrete reason or reasons why you are laying off these workers. When you do that, there's no room for doubt. So it will be your word against probably the presenter. But when you leave everything to the presenter, as for the presenter, he will say what you understand.
Yeah.
So I think moving forward, these media firms, they are in the public domain already. And they have, you see, what disturbs me a little is the fact that they have corporate affairs offices, PR offices. Yet, it's like this is cavalier attitude. Well, we don't care whatever the public perceives, that's a problem. No, you should be able to give, because you have advertisers, you have listeners, and you owe it to all of these guys to actually give us a statement as to why you are laying off our most trusted presenter or our world-loved presenter. Tell us why you are doing that. And so they figure that somebody is trying to put their brand in a bad light, then they come out. I think that's a wrong move. The moment you take that decision, back it with a statement. So you clear every doubt, because once there is doubt, there's a problem.
You see, just to add to what he's saying, a lot of employees will forget that their workers are their first public.
Yep.
And whatever they come out to say, people are likely to believe them more than any other person. Because I'm in the organization, I know what's happening, I've heard a lot of things, I've seen a lot of things. So if I come out and say, okay, this is the situation, and you are not within the organization, obviously you will believe me, because this is somebody who has been with the organization for so many years. So it's always important for them to take the first step and ensure that they let the public know what is happening within their organization. I mean, employers will always sack some employees. But how do you relay that information to even the people within the organization first, so that they don't feel demoralized? Because if another has been sacked, I mean, what shows that I cannot be sacked as well? Assuming he is the voice of the radio station and he's been asked to go home, me the backbencher who does the other things. I mean, I can also be sacked and then one person will be asked to do all the jobs that we're all doing. So you need to engage those even within your organization to let them understand why you're taking those decisions before the people even receive the message out there.
Yeah, it's crucial. I mean, if you are somebody who actually likes the BBCs and the CNNs, listen, like he's saying, they sack their employees almost all the time. But the difference is, they would always come out to give you the reason why they are sacking this personality. They would give, because you see, they realize the fact that their core fans, if I can, or audience, is us. And so if they are sacking a personnel or a presenter,
they owe us some explanation.
It's imperative for you as a firm to tell the followers that this person is no more with us because of A, B, C, D. Even if you don't want to give us the details, find a way. There's a PR firm, there's a PR unit within your organization. Find a way, but tell your followers.
I see. In dismissing some people or terminating their appointment, you know, some people have been with organizations for years. I am sure that they may have received some offers from somewhere, but some people believe in loyalty. They say, well, I will not go. I still want to stick with this company. You've been with this company for 5 years, 7 years, you've turned down, offers, and all of a sudden your contract is being terminated. You think this thing will question loyalty, will let people think twice?
Some way, somehow. I mean, regardless of the situation that we are in, somebody might question somebody's loyalty. That one day. It's human nature. Especially if I've dedicated half of my lifetime. I've dedicated a lot of years to the firm. I've rejected a lot of offers just to stay with this firm. And you terminate my contract. Definitely I'll look at you with a certain eye. However, we should also understand the situation that we are in. We should not lose sight of the crisis that we face. It's very important. And the other important point is value. Because no firm, regardless of how difficult he or she finds itself in, would want to lose its valuable personnel. And Albert, you and I mean, Albert may not really be in the show business. You would reckon that most of these top guys, one of the accusations that have been leveled against them is the fact that they are not committed, or they were not committed to the cause of the firm. Because most of these top guys, individually, they are respected brands already. And so they go into these companies thinking, well, I'm doing this firm a favor because I'm a big brand already. I have corporate guys coming to me for endorsement and stuff like that. So by virtue of me being in your firm, I'm doing you a favor. And so their commitment and dedication is low. And so the company sits and says, listen, at the end of the day, this presenter, we are paying her 50,000 almost every month, or 10,000 every month. However, what is she doing? What is he bringing? Money. Even his or her own show self, it's difficult for her or him to go and promote. What is he bringing to us? However, if we lay him off, we are keeping 50,000 or 10,000 Ghana cedis, and we can do a lot of stuff with it. So the value is very important. That's why I said, are you a liability? Are you expendable? Because when it comes to the crunch, the company will do this assessment and cut you off.
Okay, let's take a break. My director is signaling me. He has been signaling me from the days of Adam. But I think this is the time to take the break. When we return, Stonebwoy, for the second time, has appeared on the Billboard chart. And that's because of his album, Untitled Junction. But it's as a result of the nominated song, which features Kerry. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. It's still Bloggers Forum on Ghana Web TV, and we zoom into the discussion on Stonebwoy as his song Nominate has made it, I beg your pardon, to the Billboard World Digital Song Sales Chart. Now, the song is number 9 on the chart, and the Billboard World Digital Song Sales Chart ranks the best 25 selling international digital singles in the United States. Nominate is a song that features Kerry Hilson, and it's on Stonebwoy's Untitled Junction album. It's the second time. The first time was his Epistles of Mama, yeah. And I think, well, for every Ghanaian and every Stonebwoy fan, this is good news. But Arnold, what is it? The Kerry's featuring on the song that has catapulted it to be on the charts?
That's a very good question, and you get your answer. But before that, you know, when the news came out, I mean, we saw the chat, and you actually see Kerry Hilson's picture instead of Stonebwoy.
Yeah.
And some Ghanaians were raising questions as to, and then why did they put Kerry Hilson's picture there? And then why did they put your mother's picture? And at the end of the day, is it not Stonebwoy? Stonebwoy's name was there, right?
Yes.
Exactly. The point is, the gentleman has made a mark. He's been on the charts. At first it was 19 somewhere. He's risen to number 9.
Yeah.
What does it change? The fact that Kerry Hilson's picture was used, and that connects to your question. Because again, there's been a few commentary as to whose influence is making the song go to that level. Is it Kerry Hilson's influence or Stonebwoy's own influence? Both ways. Stonebwoy's own influence because he's done it before single-handedly with Epistles of Mama. And so nobody can tell me that, oh, because of Kerry Hilson's feature, and that is why Stonebwoy is actually on Billboard. Because when he did Epistles of Mama, everybody he features were in Ghana. He had no international, like American collaboration like Kerry Hilson.
Yeah.
So you cannot tell me that, oh, he got there by himself. However, you can also not take away the Kerry Hilson's impact on the elevation of the song. Because you see, Kerry has been out of the game for almost a decade.
Yeah.
She coming back, of course, thanks to Stonebwoy, it got the American media excited. And so if you realize, if you actually check how the song has been received in America, it was all because of Kerry Hilson. You actually have a Stonebwoy song being discussed on Shade Room. Wow, Shade Room never discusses anything related to even African artists or African. But by virtue of Kerry being on the song, a lot of American media outlets were discussing it. And so both ways, Stonebwoy could have done it by himself. Why am I saying it? Because he's done it before. But Kerry's influence is also telling. And so for me, both ways. And if you listen to the song, they all contributed their quota to the making of the song. But let's also not take away the fact that it is Stonebwoy's album.
Yeah.
If the song receives an album right now, or let's say Billboard does an award, like they do every year, and the song is nominated, Stonebwoy goes out there to receive the award.
Sure.
So he makes himself proud. He makes Ghana music proud. He makes all of us proud. So what counts is the fact that he's there.
Albert, what does this tell us in terms of digital marketing?
See, I think in Ghana we've not really, taken full advantage of the digital space. And if you look at Europe and America, you realize that most of the things, the digital space is used to the best of its ability. Let me just go back a little bit and say, if you look at our situation in Ghana, we still have a lot of people relying on traditional media. TV and radio is topping. I mean, although we have a lot of people online, but I mean, the traditional media still, I mean, shares a lot of information. So it's up to marketers and then brands to now look at exploring this space. So it goes even beyond the borders of Ghana, because I mean, it's limitless. The digital space is limitless. And for Stonebwoy to get to that point, I mean, he's obviously doing something different, and he's gradually building his brand, and it is giving him the kind of audience that he needs. I mean, obviously, how many are we in Ghana? Even if all Ghanaians are to watch this and then stream it live, I mean, it wouldn't give him the kind of audience he's currently receiving internationally. So he's making good use of, I mean, the digital space, and he's reaching out to a lot of people. And I mean, the Stonebwoy brand is a big brand. I mean, some people may dispute it, but it's a big brand. So he needs to just sustain it and ensure that he now leverages what he has achieved and then move to the next level and ensure that the digital space is fully operational. So his handlers needs to now explore more options in terms of the digital space and then push him higher. I mean, I think he still has a long way to go, but I mean, the brand is solid.
It's solid. Yeah.
Another one.
Just to add to what he just said, you see, Stonebwoy granted an interview, I think in Nigeria or so, and he talked about how, as Ghanaians, we do not really celebrate awards, and he mentioned Grammys.
Yeah,
and that's quite true, because you see, we are not. I mean, you are one of the few people who are discussing this achievement. We are not talking about it loudly, but it is huge. You know why it is huge? It is huge because it is the World Digital Chart. You and I, because we've been in the industry for quite a while, we know how our artists, even the whole industry, we've struggled with that digital space. It's just been 3 or 5 years ago that these artists and their handlers are trying to find solace in that space, but we've struggled. So for him to actually make it to that chart, digital chart, it means we are doing something right. He is doing something right. The other artists are doing something right as well. The second bit that deserves mention is collaboration. People look down on collaborations. Very key. It's strategic. Who you collaborate with, where the person is coming from, what influence is bringing onto your song or your craft is key. And so for me, I think 2 critical things that are coming out from this achievement is one, the collaboration, and the fact that we are now coming to our domain, like we are now feeling ourselves kind of way because of it's digital. And with Corona in the system, you need to check your digital influence.
The collaboration bit, before we wrap up, you know, Kerry has been out for close to a decade or a decade, and I remember when we were reviewing the album, Nani Aredu was like, it wasn't, well, he wouldn't question Stonebwoy's choice, but he would have gone for a more current artist or someone who was, for want of a better word, still relevant than someone who has been out for 10 years. But so if it's something Stonebwoy should be giving some
no,
props.
Clearly, like, Nanaya missed the plot, and thankfully he's not part of Stonebwoy's team. You understand? Because clearly he would have discouraged Stonebwoy from doing what he did. Let me give you an example, and with no apologies. When Sarkodie featured Acewood was in his prime. What did that song do? New guy, but here, you get it. So it's strategy. I'm sure the handlers of Stonebwoy and Stonebwoy himself realized that this lady, and mind you, once Kerry Hills, before she went off, she was one of the top female artists in America, to the extent that people were even now comparing him to Rihanna and Beyonce. One of the reasons why she left was because she was entangled in this beef between Rihanna and Beyonce, so she was blacklisted in a way, and she had to go somewhere and cool down. So the strategy is, this lady, before she went off, was well loved. She was producing chart-topping songs and all. Why wouldn't I bring her back? Because her fan base are still there. They are still yearning to hear from her again. The media would want to talk about Kerry Hilson again and all that stuff. So if I have the opportunity to feature somebody who was well loved before she went off, I'll pick that opportunity. It was not, it's not as if she was not known or she's an underground artist. We are going to, no. She was huge before she went off. It's like a comeback. So, for example, you have an opportunity to feature Lauryn Hill. You tell me that Lauryn Hill has not been relevant for the last decade, so no. So for me, I think big ups to Stonebwoy and his handlers, whoever initiated or engineered that move. Big ups to him.
Right, and big ups to you for doing the listening. Big ups to you for watching. But before I sign out, let me take your final words, Albert. Your final words, whether on Stonebwoy or whether on the layoffs, advertising.
I think now organizations need to now look at PR critically, because if you are lacking space in terms of advertising, this is the time for you to look at PR and the content you share. I mean, content plays a key role in promoting your brand. And I don't think this is the time for people to start promoting products and services. But this is the time to make people fall in love with your brand, to be able to build your brand equity and brand affinity. Yeah, so let's engage more in PR stuff, which is even much affordable and gives you the same, I mean, coverage, just as advertising. And on Stonebwoy's issue, I feel that, I mean, if you have a strong brand, no matter the number of years, you will still be relevant. I mean, we still play the good old days songs of Machide and the rest.
Yeah.
So if Stonebwoy features her, I believe that she still has a role to play. She still has some level of audience and acceptance in our society. And so she is key in ensuring that the Stonebwoy album is promoted. And that is what has been...
And she did.
And she just gave
very
him
well.
that.
I mean...
Just gave him that.
I know, continue.
No, the way you see, there are some artists that you would collaborate with, and they will be relaxed.
Yeah.
They will think it is your project, so you go ahead and do your promotion.
Do not promote it.
I've done my bit by coming to the booth, recording, or sitting in my house and doing my best and sending it to you. That's it. But this lady actually went out there to promote the song and the album, and promote Stonebwoy as well. You get it. My last point is this: see, in this era that we find ourselves in, companies will sack employees. They'll cut budget. What they need to do is engage, talk to them, and give us the public reasons why you are taking such decisions. Because we listen to these guys, the Masons, the Carolines, we listen to them. We've been listening to them for ages. We've become attached to them in a way. And so if you are taking a decision like that, it's not for you alone, it's for us as well. And so I think it's only respectful that as a company, you give us a statement as to why you are taking certain decisions, and we'll all find peace.
Right, thank you for coming. Another Samuel Bedu writes for entertainmentgh.com. A learned colleague. You're law firm, but let me put it that way. Yes, entertainmentgh.com is also a PR aspect. Yeah. So Obo Winnie, Anna.
Oh, we need simple.
Albert Amekuji. He's a columnist, and then he has a background in advertising and marketing. He's with Origin 8. Thank you so much for coming, gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Whichever medium that you monitored the show, it has been Bloggers Forum on Ghana Web TV. We'll come your way some other time with yet another exciting and then insightful discussion. My name is Benefo Boabin Abrantipa.